Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome to Soul Shift Messages. If you found your way here, trust there's something in this message for you. Understand this space is about growth, truth, and transformation. We don't bypass here, we don't sugarcoat, and not every message will feel comfortable, but it will be honest. I speak in flow, and sometimes that includes cussing. It's just part of how the messages come through. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and trust your own discernment above all else. Take a deep breath, and let's begin. If you are new here, please know that at this time I post weekly content in 3 parts. The first part focuses on what needs to be revealed. The second part focuses on what needs to be understood. Tends to be a deeper dive, looking at the mechanisms at play. And part 3 is about what needs to be done. What changes do we need to make to embody whatever we are discussing that week? Based on when you find this video, you will either see all the links to all available content, or you'll see dates of when to expect it. So if it's not there yet, it's coming. And I say all of that to say this is going to be part 1 for this week. And this week's topic is trust. Now, they do want me to address something. I actually did record and post a video yesterday. And they're saying this is going to be significant for someone. So again, use your discernment. Take what resonates, take what is useful, and leave the rest if it doesn't. But yeah, I did record and post a video yesterday. I did channel a historical event in that video that could be seen as controversial. And long story short, as I was just about to fall asleep, I got a glimpse into a timeline where that channeled reference, basically could produce an experience that, frankly, I'm just not interested in having. And so I basically told my team, if that's the case, contain the video, like don't let anyone else watch it. And, if I need to re-record it, just let me know in the morning, because I was like half awake, half asleep. So, and when I woke up this morning, they were like, re-record the video. That was their guidance. And I was like, yeah, I feel that, because, one of the things about being able to see future timelines is they're not set in stone. I consider them snapshots of what is possible. And I think it's also very important to remember where your power lies, right? So just because I was shown that timeline existed in the future didn't mean I actually had to take it. Like, I didn't have to accept that as that's just what's going to happen, right? I didn't panic. I wasn't bothered by it. I was like, you know what, let's just mark that the old video as unlisted, make sure no one else can see it, and I'll just delete it, re-record it, and post the new one, and by doing that, and making sure I don't reference that, that event again, I can simply collapse that timeline. It's no longer an option. So I don't know if that's something that someone needs to keep in mind. I'm hearing someone does need to understand that the future timelines they see, they should be looking at them as snapshots of possibility, not necessarily what is set in stone. And for others of you, I feel like, again, if it resonates, it may be to like stand in your power, right? Like, I saw a possible timeline and I was like, okay, well, I'm not interested in that. So let me just make this change now in the present where my power really does lie. And I can just collapse that whole thing. It's not going to even be possible because I took action. And I'm hearing decisive action. So I don't know who that's for, but take decisive action. And this isn't a big thing. This isn't a big deal to me, but I don't know. I just feel like someone needs to hear that. And so And I also say that to say if you did actually watch that first video, the core message is going to be the same. I can't guarantee the channels are going to be the same. In fact, I'd be more comfortable guaranteeing the channeled messages won't be the same. So keep listening if you want to. You don't have to. If you listen to the video the day I put it out, like, I mean, make your own choice. There's just only so much more that you might get from it. So, all right, let's go ahead and dive in now that I've gotten that out of the way. The title of this message is What Trust Actually Is. The central misunderstanding: trust is not what most people think it is. The deepest confusion surrounding trust is that people often mistake it for many things that it's not. Trust is not certainty, devotion, obedience, attachment, dependence, idealization, or control. Trust is a conscious willingness to remain open in the presence of uncertainty. It develops through observation, experience, consistency, accountability, and demonstrated reliability. Again, they want me to emphasize demonstrated reliability. I'm hearing, what do you genuinely see? Okay, we'll elaborate on that more in the message, but demonstrated reliability is going to be emphasized. It cannot be created through hope, authority, desire, fear, status, charisma, or the need to feel safe. The first revelation is trust does not exist to remove uncertainty. Trust exists because uncertainty exists. If certainty were available, trust would be unnecessary. Many struggles that appear to be trust problems are actually attempts to escape uncertainty. People often seek trust because they want guarantees that love will remain, relationships will last, leaders are trustworthy, beliefs are correct, decisions are right, and the future is safe. But trust was never designed to provide guarantees. Say it again. But trust was never designed to provide guarantees. I keep hearing that's an illusion. The real challenge is not learning how to eliminate uncertainty. The challenge is learning how to live wisely within it. Trust requires reality, not imagination. Once trust becomes confused with certainty, people often begin trusting things that do not actually exist. They trust stories, assumptions, projections, possibilities, and fantasies. People rarely respond only to what is actually in front of them. I'm hearing, what do you see? Instead, they often respond to what they hope is true, what they fear is true, what they want to believe, what they imagine will happen, and what reminds them of the past. This creates a crucial distinction. The question is not, can this be trusted? The deeper question is, what evidence am I using to arrive at that conclusion? Trust can only grow inside reality. It cannot grow inside potential, fantasy, or wishes. Healthy trust learns to focus on what is demonstrated rather than what is imagined. The essential principle becomes trust what is, not what could be, not what should be, not what you hope will be. Trust what is. The distortions that corrupt truth. Much of what people call trust is actually trust distorted by psychological forces that interfere with perception. Projection. People often project unconscious roles onto others. Saviors, villains, heroes, enemies, mentors, authority figures, ideal partners, and parental figures. They stop seeing the actual person and begin seeing a symbolic figure created by their own needs, fears, wounds, or desires. Trust becomes distorted because people are responding to their projections rather than reality. The critical question becomes, am I seeing what is here, or am I seeing something from my past? And babies, they want me to take a moment to really talk about, again, if you've been tuning into my content recently, we've been talking about really integrating the extremes, right? Some of you may recognize this as shadow integration. This can be balancing polarities, polar harmonics, getting to neutral. There's really a number of phrases for it, but essentially there's two extremes on a scale. And we're really being guided to, instead of swinging back and forth between them, to actually get to a more balanced, a more neutral way of looking at things. We're trying to increase our capacity to hold complexity without collapsing, right? More than one thing can be right simultaneously. They really just, there is a strong nudge to just get out of that binary thinking, that this or that, black or white, right? And this isn't saying to, and this isn't blindly do it, right? They're just saying use what you know, right? Like, you can know there are people who are not here for you. They do not support your greatest and highest good, but they really don't want us being like, that's our enemy, all that kind of stuff. I'm hearing you don't need to keep labeling it, right? It's like, you know what you know your truth. Just act appropriately. Because what it feels like is when you're looking at somebody as your enemy, like, that's not a neutral position. Like, there is, even if you're, this really feels like contain your power, hold your power, stand in your power, right? If you label someone as your enemy, your nemesis, like, that label, they're saying it gives it a certain charge, right? And if it gives it a certain charge, even if you don't want to, you are sending some sort of energy, right? You are investing in that label on that person. And for some of you, that may open you up a little bit to whatever they're doing. And they're just like, look, you can know that person's not for you and just leave them alone. Like, you don't have to label them. You don't even have to look at them like that. Just again, you can know they're not for you. And it's just like, don't even give them that. Even if it's just a little bit of energy with that label, they're like, just cut that shit off. You know, your energy is precious. Leave them alone, right? As my good sis likes to say, Mocha Love, pay 'em dust. I like to say, pay 'em dust with interest. Feed them nothing. Leave them alone. You know, we're going to be talking more about that, but there is a consistent nudge in these messages to move out of binary thinking. Again, if they're not for you, that's fine. Leave them alone, right? If you gotta up your protection because they on some bullshit, do what you need to do, right? Do your protection. You want to alchemize it, take that shit from them and alchemize it. We love haterade around here. If you know, you know. Haters give you a lot of free energy. If you know how to alchemize that, you can take it, transmute it, and use it to fuel your manifestations. It's like the best case of finders keepers out there. You know, if you feel you need to return to sender, again, I'm not saying don't do what you feel you need to do. It's just they want you to move out of that binary thinking. Take anything you are sending toward that and pull it back, reclaim it, hold it in your energy. Like that's your true power. Some of you are giving people more credit than they deserve with that type of label. So that's just something for people to consider. All right. I know I got people who don't like me, and I don't care. Like, I don't care. And to be honest, I don't have to worry about whooping your ass because my ancestors are already all over you. Like I don't have to lift that finger. I know that. And I'm hearing for some of you, that's the same thing. For some of you, they want you to start moving in that mindset. Again, it doesn't mean I don't kick shit out when I feel it coming in. But again, they just like, I'm just hearing, do you believe that you are loved, supported, provided for, and protected or not? This is really about a larger alignment coming into place. They want you to get full alignment on that. Again, the labels feed things, and they're just like, you can just cut them labels. You don't need that. You know your power. You know your strength. Stand in it. I'm here and act like you know. All right, that's for someone. All right, idealization and disillusionment. Many trust failures follow a predictable cycle. Curiosity becomes hope. Hope becomes idealization. Potential becomes mistaken for reality. Expectations grow. Reality eventually reveals flaws. Reality eventually reveals flaws. Disappointment follows and trust collapses. The issue was not trust itself. The issue was idealization. People often trusted an imagined version of reality rather than reality itself. Babies, there is no such thing as perfect people. There aren't. They're actually saying they made me stumble on my words in that section on purpose. We are not perfect. No one is. All right? They want you to be really careful about who you're putting on a pedestal. I'm hearing you can appreciate and even admire certain things in other people. But again, they are just people. There really is a caution to not be putting anyone on a pedestal. This is really about staying grounded in what is consistently shown to you and letting that determine trust. All right, let me keep moving. Devaluation and cynicism. Disillusionment frequently swings to the opposite extreme. That's that pole. One side shifts to the other. Something first becomes perfect, then it becomes worthless. A person becomes a hero and then a villain. An institution becomes sacred and then corrupt. A relationship becomes flawless and then meaningless. Neither extreme represents reality. Cynicism often appears wise, but is sometimes unresolved disappointment that has hardened into certainty. Just as blind trust assumes safety without evidence, blind distrust assumes danger without evidence. Both abandon genuine observation. Both claim certainty prematurely. Mature trust does neither. It remains open while continuing to evaluate reality. Why we struggle with trust. Trust becomes difficult because people naturally seek simplicity in a world that is complex. It is more than complex down here, all right? And I don't think you need to be fully tapped in on all levels to know that, all right? They want clear categories, trustworthy or dangerous, good or bad, wise or foolish, and safe or unsafe. Reality rarely operates this way. People, relationships, institutions, and beliefs are mixtures. Someone may be trustworthy in one area and unreliable in another. A relationship may be meaningful and unhealthy simultaneously. A belief may contain both truth and error. Trust becomes distorted when people demand absolute answers from a reality that is inherently nuanced. Psychological maturity requires moving beyond the question, who is good and who is bad, toward the question, what is true? The capacity to hold complexity without collapsing into simplistic categories is one of the foundations of mature trust. They really want me to emphasize flexibility. Again, this is not about denying what you know. And they want me to acknowledge the people who are tapped in, right? Use your discernment with this message, right? Some of us can see the fuckery that happens here, right? Some of you know. Some of you know the monitoring spirits. Some of you know the attachments some people have. And if you don't know, this is not to make you scared. It's not. Don't take this if it doesn't resonate, right? To those who see or sense, perceive that shit, this is not about denying that. It's not, right? You know what you know, move appropriately. But they are saying in general, they don't want you, just because you can see that shit, they don't want you to fall into that binary thinking, right? You know what you know. And I'm hearing some of you need to remind yourselves that it's the shit on these people that is making them act that way. They don't really teach us how to keep our energy clean here. They're saying some of those people just don't know better. They're not capable of doing better. They really are just doing what this shit wants them to do. So that's why they're saying don't label this person and don't treat those past experiences as like what to expect moving forward. This is really about staying open and staying flexible. Again, stay away from extremes. I'm hearing flexibility and again, not being naive about it, but being open. Some of us are really moving into chapters where we need to be able to receive. And if you're at extremes, it's going to be harder for you to receive what is trying to come in. And some of you may actually self-sabotage by taking some of these old mindsets into this new one. I'm hearing that is not your guidance. That is not recommended. All right, that feels complete. The difference between trust and its counterfeits. A major revelation is many experiences commonly labeled as trust are actually something else. Trust is not attachment. You can love someone and not trust them. And again, this came through in the first video. I'm hearing the same thing. Family. I'm hearing family being screamed at me. And some of us do get loving families in this experience. And if you do, I'm genuinely thrilled for you. I really am. I think that's amazing. There are also some of us who know that our family members are not necessarily our biggest supporters. And again, that's the example they want me to use, right? You can love people from afar. You can appreciate all that they have done for you and still know that they may not necessarily have your greatest and highest good at heart. And I'm hearing, again, this is that complexity. More than one thing can be true simultaneously, right? You can love someone and not trust them. And I don't know why I'm hearing mothers in particular. Listen, that karmic mother program is wild. All right. But yeah, the other examples are you can trust someone and still leave them. You can appreciate something while recognizing its limitations. I'm hearing everyone and everything has its strengths and its weaknesses. Everything has limitations. Again, nothing is perfect. And I'm hearing that's by design. All right. Attachment often wants permanence. Trust simply responds to reality. Trust is not compliance. Trust is not obedience or self-abandonment. Trust is not avoiding conflict. Healthy trust can survive disagreement, boundaries, honesty, independent thought, and the word no. If trust disappears whenever boundaries appear, trust may have never existed. Trust is not dependence. Dependence and trust are often confused, especially when power is involved. People may believe they trust someone when they are actually dependent upon approval, resources, opportunities, status, emotional support, and financial security. Dependence can create the appearance of trust while masking vulnerability and imbalance. Trust is not authority. People frequently grant trust because someone appears confident, successful, charismatic, spiritual, knowledgeable, and persuasive. Yet confidence is not truth. Status is not integrity. And charisma is not wisdom. Trustworthiness must be demonstrated, not assumed. They want me to say it again. Trustworthiness must be demonstrated, not assumed. They want you to be this is just screaming discernment at me, babies. This is really the time to be building and refining your discernment. Some of us are really going to start seeing things in our reality. I'm just hearing revelations, revelations. Some of you have already been doing that. Some of you, your gifts may be sharpening at this time, and you're picking up on things you didn't before. Others of you, I'm hearing people are just going to really start showing their ass. Some of you are really going to start seeing, if you had any confusion, I'm hearing you're not going to be confused for too much longer on who is for you and who is not. And I'm hearing make informed decisions based on that. But certain things are going to start appearing in your reality, and your guidance is to look at it clearly and objectively. And again, make decisions or don't based on that. I'm also hearing what's done in the dark must eventually come to the light. That goes back to the reality eventually reveals flaws. And again, it's not, disappointment is not the goal. It is discernment. It's okay if you do feel disappointed by what gets revealed to you. And obviously process what you feel, honor what you feel. But that is meant to help you refine your discernment moving forward. Trust is not emotion. Excitement is not evidence. Hope is not evidence. Chemistry is not evidence. And fear is not evidence. Strong emotions may contain valuable information, but they are not proof. Healthy trust requires both feeling and verification. Again, they're saying discernment. Time will reveal what needs to be revealed. I don't know why it's coming through, but if you tend to like really and I'm going to say this with love, but it is coming through, so someone needs it. If you tend to idealize new people you meet quickly, I'm hearing clear as day, slow your roll. That goes back to that idealization thing, and to be honest, I think a lot of us know somebody in our experience where like they start dating somebody and it's like, damn, they really got like half this wedding planned, especially if this is new people. They just want you to remember it takes time to learn who someone is, right? Let them reveal themselves to you over time. I'm just hearing if they're your people, and I'm not just saying, again, this is not just romantic, but it's just if they're your people, they're not going anywhere. So they want someone to know, like, you're not gonna lose these people if you just slow your roll a little bit. Like, just leave space for things to just reveal themselves naturally. Again, discernment. You'll know. You will know. So again, this is not, I don't know what this is not. I'm just hearing this is not the time to let your emotions run the show. They want me to say the last line again and then move on. Okay. Healthy trust requires both feeling and verification. How trust actually forms. If trust is not built through certainty, authority, emotion, attachment, or idealization, how does it form? Trust develops through reality testing. It emerges from repeated observation over time. People reveal themselves most clearly under pressure. Sorry, the same channel from yesterday came through. Listen, I love Cardi B as much as the next person. Her Aries moon speaks to my Aries sun, and there are definitely people who should be very thankful that when I was back in my more savage days that I didn't have some of her lyrics to throw their way, because I would have told you next time you see your mama, tell her how she raised a bitch. I'm better now, but I'm just hearing the song Up, and it's got that line. It's basically like, ninjas love a toxic bitch. They're saying, don't do that. Like, I'm just hearing, it will be revealed over time. Again, things will just naturally unfold. Nothing is perfect, even if they are your people. You're likely going to have something comes up that just isn't perfect. It's going to shake things up a little bit, and you'll both have to respond to that. They're just saying, don't be out here purposely shaking shit up, right? If things are good, let it be good. Stay in the present moment. If something needs to be addressed, it's gonna come up. Like, I'm just hearing, you don't have to force that. All right? But trust becomes visible through responses to conflict, accountability, disappointment, responsibility, vulnerability, and power. Character is not revealed by promises. Character is revealed by patterns. Trust, therefore, remains connected to observation rather than conclusions. The question is less, do I trust this person? And more, what patterns have been demonstrated repeatedly? Trust is not a permanent verdict. It is an ongoing relationship with reality. And why is that? Because people change, relationships change, institutions change, circumstances change. Again, I'm just hearing some of you know which person to call upon based on what you need, right? Like, someone has a friend where it's like, if we need to show up on time or there's going to be major consequences, we can't rely on this person at all. I'm hearing we love them to pieces. We can't trust that. Like, we can't rely on them to show up anywhere on time. Like, they always late. I'm hearing this person would be late to their own funeral, right? Like, and again, it doesn't mean they're bad people. It's just consistently look at what is demonstrated. Just because someone is not good or reliable or, in your eyes, trustworthy in one area, you may actually trust them in another. Again, I'm hearing things are not perfect. Things are not meant to be perfect here. They're actually saying you would be really bored if everything was perfect here. Again, this video wouldn't even be necessary because we'd have certainty. All right. Healthy trust remains willing to revise itself when reality changes. Trust requires acceptance of impermanence. Many trust wounds come from expecting permanence. People often assume if this is real, it should last. But trust and permanence are not the same thing. A relationship can be genuine and still end. A trustworthy person can change. A useful institution can become ineffective. A meaningful chapter of life can conclude. Trust does not guarantee permanence. Trust exists alongside change. Healthy trust accepts impermanence rather than resisting it. This allows people to appreciate what is real without demanding that it remain unchanged forever. I'm hearing the statement that the only things that you can count on in this world are death and taxes. They're saying, no, babies, that's a lie. It's death, taxes, and change, right? Especially if you're on this awakening or self-improvement path, right? You already know we change, right? How many of us who have gone through an awakening tend to talk about whether we say it explicitly or not, we often talk in terms of like life before our awakening and life after our awakening. Why? Because we have changed so much. And even after your awakening, you could still talk as in, old versions of yourself and things of that sort. I'm just hearing things are not static. Expecting things to be static in a nuanced reality where change is practically a guarantee is just only going to set you up for disappointment. Again, I'm just hearing if something is good, appreciate it while you have it. And it's not to say everything you appreciate and you love is going to get taken from you. No, that's not necessarily the case. But again, being flexible, moving forward I'm just hearing is the best approach. Whether you want to adapt that and take that with you or not is up to you. But they're just saying that's the guidance. Stay flexible. Stay open. All right. Discernment, the mature form of trust. As trust matures, the focus shifts from protection to discernment. Protection asks, how do I avoid being hurt? Discernment asks, how do I see clearly? Fear closes. Discernment observes. Fear seeks certainty. Discernment seeks accuracy. Discernment integrates opposites rather than choosing sides. It combines openness and boundaries, intuition and evidence, hope and realism, vulnerability and wisdom, and trust and caution. Mature trust is not naive openness. Say it again. Mature trust is not naive openness, nor is it defensive suspicion. It is clear perception. The goal is not becoming impossible to hurt. The goal is becoming increasingly able to see reality as it is. They're just saying neutrality is best. Again, even if people are acting up in your experience, they're just saying don't feed that. You don't have to feed that. Again, that is your information. You can choose to, and again, use your discernment, because let's be honest, sometimes neutrality is not possible, right? I think some of us are very aware some people are only going to meet you with warring type energy, and sometimes you just got to go toe to toe with those motherfuckers and remind them who they're actually dealing with, right? But again, use your discernment as situations allow. If people act up, you can just choose to be like, all right, thank you for showing me this information. Let me adjust my expectations. Let me adjust my actions and keep it moving, All right. The hidden foundation, self-trust. Beneath nearly every issue involving trust lies the question of self-trust. When self-trust is weak, people often move toward one of two extremes. They trust too quickly and surrender judgment, or they trust almost no one because they fear making mistakes. Both patterns emerge from uncertainty. And that's really uncertainty about their own ability to perceive reality. As self-trust strengthens, discernment improves, projection decreases, boundaries become clearer, authority loses its undue influence, and disappointment becomes less destabilizing. Self-trust is not blind confidence. It is confidence in one's ability to observe, learn, adjust, recover, and revise conclusions when new evidence appears. And I'm hearing not all evidence is going to be bad. Again, it's still this push to move from the binaries, right? Good information, bad information. They're actually saying it's just information. It's what you assign to it that's going to influence that. I think that's just going to be a theme we keep seeing. I've been getting, even when I cover different topics, moving away from the extremes and trying to balance that out within ourselves. I've been getting that message on different topics for weeks. I just don't think that's going to be, I don't think that's going away. If anything, I think there's going to be more of a push or a nudge. You do have free will, but there is going to be more of a nudge. I'm just hearing if you can start making that shift, even in baby steps, that you may find your day-to-day experience starts getting easier. Okay. The deeper issue is not whether others will always be trustworthy. It's whether you trust yourself to respond wisely when reality reveals itself. The deepest revelation about trust. The final revelation is trust is not fundamentally a relationship with other people. It is a relationship with reality itself. Trust becomes fragile when it depends upon certainty, controlling outcomes, and people never changing or never disappointing us. I just heard babies, that's not even possible. But trust becomes resilient when it is rooted in something deeper. The ability to remain connected to reality, even when reality is uncomfortable. This is really being grounded in the present, being grounded in what you are seeing in front of you. At its highest form, trust becomes confidence that you can adapt, learn, grieve, recover, grow, revise your understanding, and meet reality honestly. The ultimate question is not, can I trust other people? It is, can I trust myself to face reality as it is? When that foundation develops, trust is no longer a search for certainty. It becomes a commitment to truth. Not truth as we wish it to be, not truth as we fear it to be, but truth as it actually is. And that may be the deepest lesson beneath every other lesson. The purpose of trust is not to guarantee that reality will never disappoint you. The purpose of trust is to remain open to reality without abandoning truth, discernment, or yourself when it does. End it there. Okay. So I will be back later this week with parts 2 and 3. If this message resonated with you, feel free to tune into those when they become available or when you feel ready for them. Always remember to honor your pace. All right. And actually, if it doesn't resonate, that's perfectly fine as well. All right. As always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. All right. Take care of yourselves, beautiful beings. And until next time, bye.